This is Chapter 2, Chemistry of Outer Transition Elements, that is part of inorganic chemistry, and the topic that we will study today is the metallurgy of copper. First, I'll tell you about the properties of the copper. As we know that copper is a transition metal. It is a dense metal with reddish brown color. They can be shaped easily, and also we have the wiring of coppers, usually at homes. So it is malleable and ductile. It is an excellent electrical conductive metal, and it is ranked as the second highest after the silver as an electrical conductor among the pure metals. Where copper is used? In making the electric wires, plumbing and piping, for telecommunication purposes, for coinage. That means in most of the places they have a currency that is made from the copper metal. Also in the alloy formation. Now the reactions of copper. I have added the reaction in this video to make this video a complete package for the metallurgy of the copper, because with metallurgy of copper you might get the reactions of the copper as well. In our course, we have two reactions with the concentrated sulfuric acid along with nitric acid. When copper reacts with the concentrated sulfuric acid, it forms copper sulfate, sulfur dioxide gas, and water. Whereas on reaction with concentrated nitric acid, it forms copper nitrate, nitrogen dioxide gas, and water. You can easily see that with sulfuric acid, copper sulfate is formed. Sulfur dioxide gas is evolved. For nitric acid, copper nitrate is formed and nitrogen dioxide gas is evolved. In both the cases, concentrated acids are used. Now talking about the metallurgy of copper. Metallurgy is the process of extracting the metal like the copper from its ore. What sources do we have? Copper is present in the earth crust as the chalcopyrite, which is copper, iron, and sulfur. Its most significant deposit is in Balochistan, and I have also mentioned the two mine projects that are currently running. This is an image through which you can see how it is extracted from the earth. Now the metallurgical operations that involves the extraction of the copper. 6 metallurgical operations are involved. First is crushing and grinding. It is a crucial mechanical process. Talking about crushing, it reduces the larger rocks to coarser particles, whereas for the grinding, it further breaks down the material into a fine powder. Concentration. This is a picture in which you can see that it is the stage, and the objective of this stage will be to eliminate the gangue impurities. By gangue impurities, what you mean is that as the copper is extracted from the earth means it contains impurities in the form of wreck, salt, or clay. These impurities are called as the gangue impurities. These are separated from the chalcopyrite ore, which is done through the froth floating process. It is a process in which the ore will be blended with the water along with the point oil added to it. And when it is blended, it will cause the ore particles to become coated with the froth, and the gangue particles will settle at the bottom. In this picture, you can easily see that the froth bubbles are rising upward, which carries the sulfide ore particles that will be eliminated, and you can further proceed with the reaction, whereas the gangue impurity settle down at the bottom. Now the roasting, as the name itself indicates, this is the process which will involve the heating of the ore. And heating is done in the presence of the air at a high temperature in a roasted kiln. What will happen? The impurities will oxidize, they will undergo the decomposition reaction, which will lead to the formation of the cuprous sulfide, ferrous oxide, and sulfur dioxide. As sulfur dioxide is a gas, so it will be simultaneously eliminated from the system. The chemical reaction, here you can see that the chalcopyrite ore is oxidizing by the formation of the respective products. The next one we have is smelting. In smelting, the ore that is produced earlier in the third step is then roasted with the silica and coal in a blast furnace. As it is a furnace, so it will have a very high temperature of around 1200 to 1500 degrees centigrade. What happens that here the ferrous oxide which was present in the ore is going to react with the silica and it will form the iron silicate. Iron silicate is also called as the slag. This slag will float on the surface of the molten matte with the copper matte. What is the copper matte? It consists of the copper sulfide along with few impurities, and this will be separately collected in the slag. This is the chemical reaction. Here you can see that ferrous oxide is reacting with silica to form slag. Now the besmerization. In this image you can see that the matte that is produced will be fed into the pear-shaped Bessemer converter. Here the hot gas is introduced from the mid-lower portion. Within the converter, the cuprous sulfide will be partly converted into cuprous oxide. This will further react with the remaining cuprous sulfide and it will give you the production of the molten metallic copper. Keep in mind that this molten metallic copper produced is the blister copper. Now the chemical reactions that are involved, reaction of the copper sulfide with oxygen to form copper oxide and sulfur dioxide gas, and this on further reaction gives you blister copper that is 99% pure. Further what will happen that this blister copper will be solidified and the sulfur dioxide gas will escape through the system. As the blister copper still contains few impurities in the form of iron, arsenic or other elements, so it is not suitable for the electrical purposes. So it must be further refined through a refining process. So the next process after besmerization will be the refining process. Here in this image or the picture I have added, you can easily see that the copper is electrified in the electrolytic tank. Electrolysis process will be used. You have the blocks of the blister copper that will be used as the anode, a thin sheet of pure copper that will be acting as a cathode. The electrolyte used here will be the copper sulfate and the reaction takes place in the presence of acidic medium, so sulfuric acid will be used. When electricity is passed through the electrolytic solution, the blister copper, that is the cathode, will undergo the oxidation and the copper ion will produce. They will be further deposited on the cathode because on cathode reduction occurs. The impurities which are left behind will fall to the bottom of the cell and it is known as the anode mud. Talking about the copper that we obtain from refining, it is 99.99% pure. The chemical reactions, simple oxidation at anode and reduction at cathode, and this copper which is produced by the electrolysis in the refining is 99.99% pure copper, that is significant or can be used for the wiring or other stuff in which the pure copper can be used. Now how you get this question in your board examination is that you get this in 8 marks descriptive in which you are asked to write about the steps that are involved in the extraction of the copper. So all 6 steps must be mentioned along with their label diagrams. Also, this question came in 4 marks for the short question answers in the model paper in which you were asked to describe how 99.99% pure copper is obtained from copper matte. Here you can see the hint that they have asked you for the extraction from the copper matte. That copper matte is the key. That copper matte is obtained in smelting, so you do not have to write from the first step, from where you will write after the production of copper matte. That is, you only have to write the bastmanization and refining along with its label diagram. In your board examination, along with the metallurgy of copper, you also get the general properties of alloy formation. This we have already discussed in the previous videos, but I have also added this in today's lecture. These are the 4 different alloys along with its composition and the important uses. Like you get in your board examination for the 8 marks descriptive, describe the various steps involved in the extraction of pure copper from its chalcopyrite ore. It means all steps must be mentioned along with their diagrams. Then they ask you to write the composition of duralumin and brass, which is the topic from the alloy formation. So only the composition of these two alloys must be mentioned. Same question can be rephrased as the write the composition and uses of 4 alloys. So if you get this topic, you may also get this with the alloy formation, also with the properties of the copper. You have to make sure that all label diagrams must be drawn. This is all for today. Make sure that you watch all the videos complete so that no topic or no concept is left when you attempt this question in your board examination. Thank you so much. This is all for today.